this was one heck of a regular season the Calgary Flames had in 2018-19. In fact, it's the best one they've had in a generation, let's say in about 30 years. You'll see what I mean on the next episode of Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here. Welcome to an episode of my Calgary Flames in 4 this time, as there was only 4 more games left to go in the 2018-19 regular season of the Calgary Flames, and we were just pretty much playing out the stretch here, as Calgary we're on the cusp of locking up the division and the Western Conference here, and pretty much playing out the string here. So in this episode, we'll be looking at games 79 to 82, and then tee up the playoffs and how the playoff tree bracket is shaping up for the whole NHL here. So of course, if you enjoy everything I do on my YouTube channel, just make sure you hit like, subscribe, and follow along here. And also the Calgary Hitmen, they've been making a nice run themselves in the NHL playoffs, and we'll see how far they go, so you can follow along there. And I said, before I get to recap here, I'm going to say, if you followed along the last couple videos I did for the Calgary Hitmen, because they actually won their first round playoff series, and that's what I plan to do for the Calgary Flames playoffs. But I'm a little slow, and let's say a day or two late on posting these videos here, which, because I've been sick here the last few days here, I've been feeling like garbage here. I think a little bit of a cough and cold, and maybe in the flu here. That slowly getting over that. I mean, we maybe hear that in my voice, and I did press on a couple days of work there, but then I had to stay home there recently. So bear with me on this video, and I think I'm slowly not coughing as much, but I don't think this is what I meant about having playoff fever here, as both our hockey teams are in the playoffs here. But anyway, I'm slowly getting over that. And then this is episode 15, Calgary Flames in 4 here, and then after this episode here, I'll preview the first round series, and you'll find out in this video who the Calgary Flames draw, and I'll do a preview, and then I'll recap the series and go on as long as it goes, and hopefully with the ultimate prize over the head here. So let's bring on my notes here, and let's recap how the final 4 games went in the 2018-19 regular season for the Calgary Flames. And I said this has been the best regular season they've had in a generation here in 30 years here, and coincidentally 30 years ago, they won the Stanley Cup, and we're due to win another one here. I still can dream at this point. So let's go back to game 79 here. It's happened at the end of the month on Sunday, March 31st. The Calgary Flames were off to California here, as they were at the SAP Center. 6 p.m. puck drop to take on the San Jose Sharks here, and coming in this game, Calgary Flames win. They lock up the Pacific Division and the Western Conference here in the process here. So this was definitely a chance to do that. And you know what? As the Calgary Flames did all season, they responded, and they made sure that they did lock up those 2 items here. As Calgary definitely had the initial jump in this game, and they definitely looked like we wanted those titles and get the perk of winning the division. And the Western Conference is if we get at least to the Western Conference Championship here, you got home ice throughout the playoffs, at least in the 3rd round here, and that's how the Flames looked like they wanted it. But as I get going on my notes here, even though Calgary did actually had the initial jump here, it was actually Timo Meier of the San Jose Sharks here scored first. Actually, his 30th of the season at the time, at the 12-minute mark. 12 minutes in, so it was 1-0 San Jose. But then in about a minute Minute and a half here, the Calgary Flames answered back and then some here. As Sean Monahan, 3 minutes later, to tied it. So it was a 12-minute mark that Timo Meier scored the first goal here. So about 3 minutes later, about the 50-minute mark, Sean Monahan came in, tied the game at 1-1. Then nearly 30 seconds later, Mark Jankowski scored to make it 2-1 for the Flames, and Dalton Prout, of all people, yes, Dalton Prout. Basically just a grinder defenseman that we carried along all season for depth and sandpaper. He actually scored 50 seconds later, so in a matter of a minute and a half stretch here, the Calgary Flames made it 3-1, and it was 3-1 for the Calgary Flames after the first period there, so things were looking good for clinching the division in the conference here, and it stayed 3-1 Flames here until Michael Backlund of the 7.5-minute mark of the second period gives Calgary a 4-1 lead, and that's how things ended after the second period. 4-1 for the Calgary Flames, and Calgary was definitely even more dominant in the second period there as they outshot the San Jose Sharks 14-3 in that period. So the Flames definitely wanted this title, those two titles, big time here. Third period, the Sharks were able to get on a goal. They scored a couple goals themselves here. Logan Couture, one of their lead scorers, scored at the 5-minute mark, and then Kevin LeBlanc for the San Jose Sharks did also score at the 16-minute mark of the third period there. But in between, halfway in between here, Mike Frolik did score for the Flames. So if you do all the math and tally it up, it was 5-3 for the Calgary Flames, and the Calgary Flames win this one 5-3. And in the process, they do clinch the Pacific Division and the Western Conference. When it comes to winning the division here, this is the first time the Calgary Flames have won the division since the 2005 and 6 season, when they won the division title at the time here. And when you're talking about last time that they clinched the Western Conference here, well, since when they did the conference format here, this will be the first time that the Calgary Flames have got the number one seed here. But if you go all the way back to the 1989-90 season, the year when the Flames were defending Stanley Cup champions, that was the last time that the Calgary Flames had the top record in the conference there. The Clarence Campbell Conference at the time was called. So we're talking about 29 years here. So, as I said, this has been the best Calgary Flames season in a generation here when it comes to the regular season here. So, got the Pacific and the Western Division all locked up here now. So basically the last 3 games we're just playing the stretch, and essentially it was pre-season here. So before we get on to the next games here, Johnny Gaudreau was the only actually Flame to record a multi-point game here, because there was a lot of offense that was spread on this game. He picked up 2 assists in there as everyone contributed in the win here, which pretty much that's been the theme for the Calgary Flames all season here. Timo Meier, Logan Couture for the Sharks, I'll highlight. Each had a goal and assist there. And overall, the Calgary Flames did outshoot the San Jose Sharks 28-15 here. I mean, coming down the stretch here, the Flames definitely stayed consistent all the way through. But after the Sharks had a nice run there, they slipped recently. But that's how it is what it is for how the races played out here. So Mike Smith for the Calgary Flames was in net for the Flames, and then it was Aaron Dell that the Flames faced here, as Martin Jones had the night off there. So yeah, the Flames won 5-3 here, and pretty much locked up the Pacific Division and the Western Conference here. So how are the Flames going to treat the next 3 games? Well, Game 80 happened the next night on Monday, April 1st here, as we took on the Los Angeles Kings at the Staples Center, and as I said, the Flames have the luxury now of resting players and getting some other guys some playing time here. So for the Los Angeles Kings, they're actually the top 4 defensemen. Mark Giordano, TJ Brody, Nolan Hannafin, and Travis Hamonic. They actually had the night off here, and this will hurt Drew Doughty's feelings, but Matthew Tkachuk was also taken out of the lineup too, as now the Flames know their fate and have nothing more to play for, we can also rest and protect some of our assets here, because the Los Angeles Kings, they're the lowly Kings in the Western Conference this year, and they have nothing to play for. So last thing you need is you have some any injuries in a meaningless game here. So one of the players that actually got the draw in for the Calgary Flames on defense is Yusuf Valimaki here, as he made the team in the opening day roster there, and he looked pretty good there in the bottom pair of defensemen there. And a lot of time at the start of the season there, he played with Rasmus Andersson, who has been another revelation of the Flames this year, but he draws back in. I mean, he got injured, and then he had some reconditioning stint with the Stockton Heat here, but we definitely loaded up on defense so we can have proven depth here in the event that we do go on a long run here. But so that's basically how the Flames traded this game. First period had a ton of offense here for both sides, as both teams traded goals. Each scored 2 goals each. Derek Ryan, this guy's been a nice find for our fourth line here. Scored first, 2 minutes in, and then Kyle Clifford, one of the veterans for the Kings here, he tied it up in the 13 minutes in, so it was 1-1. Just past the midway mark of the first period there, and then 30 minutes later, Sam Bennett back in the lineup. He scored it to make it 2-1 for the Flames here, and then Dustin Brown, the captain, tied it up with minutes ago in the first period there, so it was 2-2 for the Flames and Kings after the first period here. So it was a pretty good game, considering it didn't mean anything for both sides here. Then the second period, only one goal here. It was by Johnny Gaudreau. He put it in his 36th of the season to make it 3-2, and it was 3-2 Flames after 2 periods here. And then Flames definitely put away the lowly Kings in the third period here, only scoring 4 goals here. The goal scorers was James Neal, who was one guy who, since actually he's gotten back into the lineup, he's actually starting to contribute more offensively here. So, my faith might be restored that he will deliver us in the playoffs. Derek Ryan scored another goal in this game. Andrew Mangiapane, another not bad for a guy who drafted in the 6th round in 2015, and then Mark Jankowski. I mean, it was still pretty critical of the pick at the time that we made that draft in 2012, but he's delivered in his sophomore season here for the Flames. So when you add it all up, it was actually a 7-2 win for the Calgary Flames here. So not bad, considering our top 4 regular defensemen were out of the lineup here, and the Flames had nothing else to play for. I mean, the only thing the Flames couldn't get was the President's Trophy, but the Tampa Bay Lightning seemed to have that wrapped up back in February there. So it was 7-2 for the win. This was just a little ounce of revenge there, because a week earlier the Calgary Flames did terribly outshot and outplay the Los Angeles Kings there, but we got shut out there. We did outshoot the Kings in this game 30-25 here. Mark Jankowski led the way points-wise with a goal and 2 assists, and then Derek Ryan had 2 goals, and then Johnny Gaudreau had a goal and assist there. Once again, many contributions all out throughout the lineup for the Calgary Flames here. If you look on the LA Kings side of the puck here, I just want to recognize that Anze Kopitar in this game, he actually played his 1,000th game of his NHL career. Congratulations to Anze Kopitar, and celebrated that he actually got an assist in this game. And then when it comes to the goaltending situation, well, it's David Riddick that actually was in net for the Calgary Flames, and then it was Jonathan Quick that actually started for the Kings in this game, and he got chased after the 7th goal. So it was Jack Campbell, who still likes to shut the door on the Flames here. He didn't allow anything when he came into relief there, but it was Jack Campbell that shut out the Flames there and made like 42 saves there the week earlier there. So this was also win number 50 for the Calgary Flames, and it was only the 2nd time that the Flames have won 50 games in the regular season here. The other time they did that in 88-89, and that resulted in winning the Stanley Cup here. So when I get done recapping the games, I'll break down the standings a little more closely here. So that was Game 80. So Game 81, Wednesday, April 3rd. I have to say it, Birds. They're taking on the not-so-mighty Ducks here at the Sauna Center. Tower Terror, 8:30 puck drop here, but it was kind of irrelevant despite the futility the Flames have had in the so-called happiest place on earth there. Home at Disneyland, but hasn't been a happy place for the Flames here, but this was the first time in ages here that both the Flames and Ducks game didn't mean anything, because the Ducks, they were along the playoffs here too, and once again, the Calgary Flames did not dress their top four regular defensemen there. Sean Monahan, Sam Bennett, and Elias Lindholm also weren't in the lineup here. I know Sean Monahan, just like yours truly, has been under the weather too, and Sam Bennett, he's been in and out with injuries recently, and not too sure exactly why Elias Lindholm here, but you know, that's the luxury the Flames had. Although on an emergency recall here, another guy that made the lineup on opening day was Dylan Dubé. So he got inserted into the lineup here for the Calgary Flames here, but unfortunately the previous history of Flames not doing too well in Anaheim still continues here, because essentially all summer this game is the Flames got behind early and just couldn't play catch up here, but you know, we were resting a lot of our regular guys too. So the Ducks did score the first two goals, 2 minutes apart early in the first period here, as Sam Steele and Max Jones scored for the Anaheim Ducks to give them a 2-0 lead here. And then Derek Ryan put Calgary in the board a minute and a half later, so it was 2-1 Anaheim after 1 there, so it was a 2-1 game there. And then there was one more goal in the game, and that happened early, about the 5-minute mark of the second period here, when former Calgary Hitman Ryan Getz scored to make it 3-1, and that pretty much was the final score here. It wasn't really that exciting game. I mean, here we are in April, last game of the regular season. Both teams had nothing to play for here. So the only multi-point player for the whole game was Carter Rowney for the Ducks. He had 2 assists here, and the Ducks actually outshot the Flames here 32-26. The Ducks they were the better team here, and you know, this is one of the cases where I could say it's irrelevant, but the lack of success the Flames have had in Anaheim, just, you know, where we won the Pacific Division in the Western Conference here, we're getting ready to try to go for the Stanley Cup, while the Birds, they're going to tune up their golfing game here. So once again, it was Dave Riddick that was the net for the Calgary Flames here, and there's Ryan Miller. He actually played really strong here for the Ducks here, and he was the win for the Anaheim Ducks here. So that was game 81. Game 82, this happened on Saturday, April 6th. We were taking on the Edmonton Oilers at home at the Scotiabank Saddledome. It was a 8 p.m. puck drop, Hockey Night Canada here, but you know, this was definitely the tamest battle of Alberta you can get here. It's probably almost tame as you can get, either in preseason or pre-preseason, when you have both teams on their prospects here. But you know, it was the last game of the regular season, last day of hockey in the NHL here, because this was the night where you know, seedings get decided, and where some teams will finish and find out who they get to play here. And the Flames were still, up to this point, on figuring out who they draw in the first round here. So Flames did actually dress more veterans in this game. I mean, they got their top 4 defensemen back in the lineup here, but still no Sean Monahan, Sam Bennett, or Matthew Tkachuk here. So those guys did not play in this game. And there was a couple milestones that could potentially happen in this game. Leon Draisaitl was still looking to get one more goal to get 50 on the season, and Johnny Gaudreau, he was 2 points away from getting 100 on the season here. So let's get the recap here. Well, one of the milestones did happen in this game is actually Leon Draisaitl for the Edmonton Oilers, just past the 11-minute mark, scores and made it 1-0 Edmonton here, and that was his 50th goal of the season there. So congratulations to Leon Draisaitl there. And then Mark Jankowski scored 5 minutes later to tie the game at 1-1. And actually Johnny Gaudreau picked up an assist on that play. So Johnny Gaudreau, he was up to 99 points on the season there. I mean 100's a nice round number, but Johnny Gaudreau with 99 points, actually it's the most points that Flame has put up since 1993 when Theoren Fleury did 100 points in 1993. And actually, one thing Johnny Gaudreau can have bragging rights over Jerome McGinley is that Jerome McGinley's most productive seasons, he had 96 points in 102 when he won the Art Ross and scored 52 that season. And then 07-08 when Jerome McGinley scored 50 in that season, he had 98 points. So despite all the points that Jerome McGinley put up there, and his numbers now forever up in the rafters there, retired, Johnny Gaudreau can have that little bragging right on Jerome McGinley there. But McGinley also played in an era where offense was hard to come by too, but still get back on track here for the game here. But the other storyline that actually happened in this game is that early in the second period here, unfortunately, Mark Giordano and Connor McDavid were tied up in a play there. Hugh McDavid said himself, he got injured on the play and took a knee in the post there, that Mark Giordano was just going after the puck there, and unfortunately Connor McDavid, who actually recently expressed his frustration with the situation with the Edmonton Oilers there, well, too bad that he got hurt on his knee here. And actually the other bad news about that is the fact that he won't likely play for, I think he said he won't play for Team Canada the World Championships now, which I was sucking that in, but you don't want to see anyone get hurt there. But it's one of the top stars in the league there. But a couple minutes later after that, I think it was on that same power play, because Mark Giordano actually took a penalty on the play, but it was just a freak accident here. Is that Alex Chiasson, the former Flame, he scored to make it 2-1 for the Edmonton Oilers there, and it was 2-1 for the Oilers after 2 there, and then Darnell Nurse, one of their top defensemen, scored in the third period to make it 3-1, and that was the game. It was 3-1 for the Edmonton Oilers here, but I'm going to say this game didn't really mean anything, and Flames didn't play their full lineup here. I'm going to say Leon Draisaitl got his 50th goal of the season. Johnny Gaudreau, I don't think he would have cared either way, but didn't quite get his 100 points, but he still had a damn good season for the Flames. And unfortunately, Connor McDavid got hurt here, so that's the story of that game. As this game overall actually was pretty tame and vanilla for Calgary. Edmonton, not so bad of Alberta in this case, but Calgary did still shoot the Edmonton Oilers 31-25 in this game. Mike Smith was in net for the Flames here, and if you look down the stretch here, because one of the big question is, who are the Flames going to go with in the playoffs here? Well, I think my money, I'm not going to bet any money on it, but Mike Smith is probably going to be the starter here at the start of the series here. And then Mika Koskinen, who he seems to always have a strong game for the Edmonton Oilers against us. He was in net for the Flames here. So as I say, Johnny Gaudreau, he was short of getting the 100-point plateau there. He had an assist on that play when Mark Jankowski scored. And out of curiosity, Connor McDavid finished the season with 116 points there, which was second in the league, only behind Nikita Kucherov for the Tampa Bay Lightning, who got the Art Ross. And actually, Leon Draisaitl was also one goal short of tying Alexander Ovechkin, because Alexander Ovechkin gets the Rocket Richard Award because he scored 51 goals on the season here. So my plan here for all the Flames stats here, like I did on my final Calgary Hitman recap videos, I'll try to put all the player stats in the description there, and you can look from there on all the scoring race here. But as I said, the top five scorers for the Calgary Flames, I mean, he scored 70 points this season, so it's definitely been a great season overall for the Flames here. So overall, the Calgary Flames had 50 wins, which is second time in franchise history that they've won at least 50 games. Had 25 losses and 7 shootout overtime losses for 107 points, which that's also the second most in franchise history. That, as I said, was good enough to put him first in the Pacific Division and the Western Conference, and potentially have home ice all the way up until the Western Conference Championship if the Flames get that far. And this was also good enough to put them second overall here. The Boston Bruins also had 107 points, but the Flames had more wins overall, so that puts Calgary second points, or second place overall here. But believe it or not, we were still I think we were exactly 21 points short of the President's Trophy as the Tampa Bay Lightning. They won 62 games this year and had 128 points, so we were still a little ways away from Tampa Bay Lightning, but it's a great season overall here. As I said, first division title since the 2005-06 season, and the first time that we've had the best record in the conference since 1989-90 there. And actually the Flames had the 3 straight seasons where they had the best record in the conference from 87-88, but that season they got knocked out by the Edmonton Oilers in the second round in the sweep there, and then 88-89 there after having a scare against the Vancouver Canucks in the first round, and eventually won the Stanley Cup. And then in 89-90, the 87-88, 88-89, actually the Flames won the President's Trophy both of those years, and then in 89-90 we were just a couple points short of getting the President's Trophy, but the Flames got upset by the Los Angeles Kings in the first round that year, so it's hard to say how you correlate success and our top records to this year. Well, we're still going to find that out here, and second best season in franchise history, both in wins and points. As the only other year that got better with more wins and points was 88-89 when the Flames won the Stanley Cup there. And we can legitimately dream here that the Calgary Flames are legitimately cup contenders there. And it was back in episode 7 that I started asking that question, and the Flames have been steady all season long here, and I agree with some of the games that they look back on about what were turning points of the game. Well, I think the first one was that Pittsburgh game where we got our butts whooped 9-1 there. And then they also looked at there was one Battle of Alberta there where I know that Calgary was down 2-0 early and fought back and won 4-2. And then they also had the other game where we forced Tampa Bay to a 7th round of a shootout at home, where that showed that, we could play with the top best team in the league here. And then they always look back at that New Year's Eve game where we really beat the San Jose Sharks. I think it was 8-5 there. So those are all games that we can look back on what galvanized this team this year, and we had such a strong January there. So let's tee up the playoff bracket here as we'll go over the bracket and tell you where each team finished in the standings here. So let's bring that up here. So in the Western Conference here, the Calgary Flames finished first in the Western Conference here, and we will be taking on the second wildcard team, and that happens to be the Colorado Avalanche. So the Flames will be taking on the Colorado Avalanche in the first round of the playoffs here. We had 107 points, and the Colorado Avalanche had 90. And then when it comes to the Pacific Division 2-3 battle, we knew this for a while there, but the San Jose Sharks will be taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. San Jose had 101 points, while the Vegas Golden Knights had 93 points. That's the 2-3 battle there. And as I mentioned, we were playing Colorado. That means 5 teams in the Central Division made the playoffs there, because Colorado was 5th in the Central Division there. Arizona had 86 points, and they That was 4th and Pacific. They were just outside. So Arizona had a nice run there. Colorado's been up and down there, but they had a strong finish there and definitely have the offense to sustain themselves to take that final wild card there. So that is the Pacific Division side of the bracket here for the Western Conference. So now if we go shift to the Central Division, well, it's the Nashville Predators that actually wound up winning the Central Division. They had 100 points. So as the lower seed, top seed, they take on the higher wild card team. And the Nashville Predators will be taking on the Dallas Stars. They were the first wild card team. Dallas Stars had 93 points here. Let's pay attention to the points here because the Western Conference was a little weaker than the Eastern Conference here. So we got Nashville taking on Dallas here. So then when it comes to the 2-3 seeds in the Central Division here, well, the Winnipeg Jets will be hosting the St. Louis Blues here. Both teams had 99 points here, but the Winnipeg Jets had 47 wins in regulation, while the St. Louis Blues had 45 there. And I mean, the St. Louis Blues, they looked like they were down and out there, and they fired Mike Yeo as head coach, and Craig Berube took over, former forcer for the Calgary Flames, and St. Louis Blues, they turned things around here and got themselves in the conversation here and got into the top 3 in the Central Division here. So it was a nice turnaround for the St. Louis Blues here. So that's the Central Division bracket there. So Calgary, Colorado, Nashville, Dallas, and then you got San Jose, Vegas, and Winnipeg, St. Louis there. So those who are in on the West there, Arizona was just out. They missed by 4 points there. So if you look at the Eastern Conference here, the Tampa Bay Lightning got the first seed here. They did get 128 points there. 62 wins here, and they take on the second wildcard team in the Eastern Conference here, and that was the Columbus Blue Jackets here. And listen to the points here. The Columbus Blue Jackets actually had 98 points here, so I mean, despite the mismatch here, but Tampa Bay had historic numbers here, and Columbus had 98 points here. The Montreal Canadiens were the outside team looking in. They missed the playoffs and had 96 points there. I mean, they were in the Western Conference here. They had more points than Vegas, Dallas, and Colorado. So the East was definitely a lot stronger there, and tells you how much stronger, heavy the Atlantic Division here, because Montreal was 4th in Atlantic there, and the Metropolitan Division was definitely a lot stronger because Columbus finished 5th in the Metropolitan there. So Tampa Bay will be taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets here, and then we knew this for a while there, but second place, the Boston Bruins will be taking on the third place Atlantic, the Toronto Maple Leafs. So another, classic matchup here. Boston had 107 points there, and Toronto had 100 points even there. So that's the Atlantic Division part of the bracket here. So the Metropolitan Division here, when the Washington Capitals won that division, so they take on the first wildcard team. So the Washington Capitals had 104 points. They will be taking on the Carolina Hurricanes, who got the first wildcard there. Carolina, first appearance in the playoffs in 10 years. Since 2009, they had 99 points there. And then 2-3 for the Metropolitan there, the New York Islanders finished second with 103 points. And the Pittsburgh Penguins finished with 100, and they were third place here. So to recap, the Eastern Conference, you have Tampa Bay, Columbus, and then you got Boston, Toronto, and then you got Washington, Carolina, and then New York Islanders and Pittsburgh. So that's the bracket here that we have for the Stanley Cup Playoffs here. So now, going back to my Flames here, here's the schedule for the first round series with the Colorado Avalanche here. Flames first in the Pacific Division, taking on the second wild card here. So game 1 of the series won't start till Thursday, April 11th here, and it will be at Scotiabank Cell, and there'll be an 8:30 or an 8 p.m. puck drop here. And then game 2 will be on Saturday, April 13th That'll also be in Calgary. That will be an 8:30 p.m. puck drop there. So then when the series shifts to Denver, in Denver, Colorado here, Game 3 will be on Monday, April the 15th. It will be at the Pepsi Center, 8 p.m. puck drop. This is all Mountain Time, by the way. So it's just Eastern Time. That's 10 p.m. And then Game 4 will happen on Wednesday, April the 17th in Denver at Pepsi Center, 8 p.m. puck drop. And then if we need Game 5, it will come back to Calgary. This will happen on Friday, April 19th. They put TBD because it's to be determined for TV, depending on how other series go. But more often than not, when I see these TBDs, usually the game will also start at 8 p.m. and so that will be Game 5 here. And then if we need Game 6, it will go back to Denver on Sunday, April the 21st. It'll be at the Pet Center, to be determined. And then if this needs a Game 7, it will go back to Calgary on Tuesday, April the 23rd. Scotiabank Saddle, once again, that's to be determined. I mean, it's all TV rights here. I think I'm not too sure if we're going to be on Sportsnet or CBC where you can find them, but that's the series that we have looking ahead here with the Colorado Avalanche here. I'll get more depth in everything and how the matchup breaks up when I do episode 16, where we talk about previewing the series ahead here. So yeah, I mean, it's been definitely a great, successful season here for the Calgary Flames. I mean, I have all my videos here in my playlist here. You could start from episode 1, where we started preseason in China with the Boston Bruins and going through the ups and downs in October there, and I always go back to that Pittsburgh game where I actually did drink some hard stuff to recap in that game, because that wasn't pretty, but then things started going up there, and then next thing you know, I was throwing up questions about are we Stanley Cup contenders, and we stayed steady all the way, and I'm going to say we had the second best regular season in franchise history here, and we're achieving things that we haven't achieved in a generation here, and now the playoffs begin, and hopefully we'll go on a nice long playoff run here, and you know what? We can finally legitimately dream that this team has what it takes to win the Stanley Cup here. I mean, it was about time back in 1989 there. I mean, we had pretty good teams there, but we couldn't get through the Edmonton Oilers in the second round there, and then things deteriorated. Things started deteriorating a little bit with rising salaries and talent leaving town. That it was like, can we get out of the first round? I mean, couldn't get out of the first round there, and then went 8 years without going to the playoffs, and then finally getting in 2004. That season was also magical, but we just had Jerome McGinley and Mika Kiprasov and a bunch of overachievers, and won an emotional series against Vancouver, and knocked off Detroit, knocked off San Jose, and next thing you know, we were in the finals there, and there's all that what if in Game 6 there, but that was a magical season, and then we couldn't sustain that, couldn't get out of the first round again, and then we went 6 seasons without playoffs, and then 2015 we had a little taste of 2004 where we beat Vancouver in the Whistle Series, and then couldn't beat the Ducks in the second round, but it was a mismatch, and then out 1 year and back next season with a cameo against Anaheim, and out again, but this regular season has definitely been exciting, and things are backing up and looking good. If we can play to our abilities and how wide open the West is, I think this team is on the verge of doing something special here. But that's my Calgary Flames of 4 here. It has been a great regular season. Thanks for watching me up to this point, and I'll see you in the next video when I'll preview the first round series with the Colorado Avalanche here, and then the next video after that, hopefully as winners, I'll recap a winning series win over the Colorado Avalanche. That'll be episode 17, and then I'll keep the cycle repeat until hopefully as Stanley Cup champions, but it's a dream at this point. We're in. 16 teams are now into the playoffs, and we're one of them, thankfully, as expected, but I didn't necessarily expect us to be regular season Western Conference champions here. So anyway, if you enjoy everything I do on my YouTube channel, just make sure you like, subscribe, and as I'm slowly feeling better here, I'm looking forward to a nice long run by the Calgary Flames, and you know, this is going to be fun. It's great to be back in the playoffs here, and you know what? Until either we win the Stanley Cup or we get knocked out, or if we get knocked out, hopefully it's nice and far that made us proud here. But this team has actually been building up, so I think this is going to be a coming out party here for the Calgary Flames here. That, you know, being a contender might be a regular thing here. So we'll see. Well, go Flames go. Let's hope the Sea of Red is jumping well until June here. So as I'll say, I'll see you in the next video when I'll start doing a preview of the first round series with the Colorado Avalanche. Go Flames go, and let's bring on the Avalanche.